Facebook is the biggest platform, the biggest social media platform. It's the individual biggest platform with the most users globally and especially in the UK, and it also owns Instagram, WhatsApp and Messenger. So as a platform, it can't be ignored, and it's the biggest one that dealers need to be aware of. They also need to be aware of Twitter. Now, Twitter is slightly different in it's a kind of a collated news feed for people where they follow their celebrities, their sports teams, the local news. And it's also where they comment on what's happening with businesses that they interact with. So it's a great customer service channel for complaints and compliments. And a dealership needs to be monitoring that, needs to be aware of it, and can publish some local content to it, some organic content, not so much an advertising channel, more a content channel. Whereas Facebook is a content channel and an advertising channel and has been built to do that. The platform is built to support both of those kinds of activities, and it's the biggest one in the world, and especially the UK. About half of UK adult population are on Facebook, so you can't ignore it. You have to be there and do something with it, because it's too big to ignore. As with other areas of marketing and online marketing, there is an organic element and there is a paid-for element. So a really keen social media user at a dealership can look after the organic element really easily, really straightforward. If they know what they like on social media, when they're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, then they can publish the same content for their own business and for the dealership that they work at. Where it starts to get a bit more tricky is where you're into the paid for advertising, where you're targeting different groups of people, and that's where kind of technology and software tends to plug in and make life a little bit easier on those. It's still possible to do it on your own as an individual, as a one-man band, to sit there and work all that out. There is some technology that can make life a bit easier on that. But yeah, a keen social media user in the dealership can get stuck in and get a really good presence going, especially with the organic side of social media. So a typical dealership can have somebody employed as a marketing executive who has a social media responsibility, and there are tools out there to make sure that any alerts about that individual business come through to that person. The important thing is not to share it too widely. So content generation can be shared across everyone in the dealership, so anyone handing over a car can take a photo of that person, get that person to post it on their own Facebook, their own Instagram, their own Twitter, so that the dealership can like it and engage with them. A new showroom car being put on display, a new demonstrator arriving, a technician qualifying as a master tech. That's all great organic content that anyone in the dealership can contribute. In terms of keeping an eye on what people are saying about the dealership on Facebook, on Twitter, that needs somebody to have that as a dedicated part of their role, so that those alerts can come in and can be picked up and acted upon fairly quickly. Everybody expects an instant response now. There was some research recently which said customers expect a reply within 20 minutes. I actually think that's too long. And I actually think it needs to be 5 or 10 minutes, really. There needs to be a response, because if you don't get there as the dealership, somebody else will get there first. The trigger tends to be the realization that there's a lot to do and there's a lack of time, resource and knowledge within the business to do it. So that's where people tend to pick up the phone to people like us and say, what can you do? There's also a technological aspect to it. So with the advertising side of Facebook in particular, to get the best out of it, you need some tech. You need to be able to plug a used car stock feed into a Facebook ad catalogue. You need to be able to take your existing customers and drop them into a Facebook audience and automatically pull them out. You need tech to do that. So the really advanced users and the advanced dealerships that want to explore all those options in depth and in detail need a bit of tech to help them do that. So that's typically when people contact a company like ourselves to help them with the technological side of that, because we've built the tech to be able to do that. They should be asking companies how many dealerships they're working with, how much of this they're doing in the real world, not in theory. Lots of people talk about social media as a theoretical exercise and things that you could do or could be able to, or wouldn't it be good if we could do this? The key question is, are you doing any of this stuff? Can you show us what it looks like? Can you show us how we can measure it and how we can see what happens with it? And can we go and speak to some of the people that you're working with who are doing it to see what they think about it? They'll all tell them that they can't afford not to be doing it. So everyone will say it's too big to ignore. And we will tell that as well. We will say that as well. And it's true. The good ones will tell you don't have to be across all of it. So there are multiple social media channels. There are channels that will attract teenagers, and teenagers don't buy new cars from franchise car dealers. There are channels that attract 34 to 55-year-old people who tend to spend money with franchise dealerships. So you don't need to be across all of them. You do need to be across the key ones. So we see our job as looking at where customers are, looking at the channels that customers are using, and figuring out ways of keeping our clients in front of them. So 10 years ago, that was by phone and by sticking things in the post. Then we started doing some stuff with email and text messaging, and now we're using that same data that the dealership already holds to put them in touch with their customers on social media as well.